Egyptology has a lot of interesting perspectives on things and on histories. They're not just like imagination or something that a horror story. Phenomenologically, like it shows a lot of things that are similar to what we are experiencing right now.
There's so much life to ancient Egypt that we lose track of. So I'm a PhD student in Egyptology, which is part of the Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilizations. And my personal research really focuses on examining how foreign women who came to Egypt from the surrounding area constructed their identities and kind of negotiated their personal identities within this new sphere.
I'm a former DOVA student at University of Chicago. My personal practice involves a lot of like Egyptian thing, like ancient Egyptian characters, the figures, and how they use the materials, and how they treat the dead bodies and the mummy figure. I do a performance through the narrative. I transform myself, become a mummy, and I work with my personal performance and this collaboration together, and I see a lot of things bridging together these two projects.
So Fan has identified himself as an artist or a practitioner, but what I remember most was I immediately connected with this theory of world making that he had. So he was very theory grounded in the beginning stages, which was good for me because that's how my brain works. And then we went from there. I think Fan showed me some of the miniatures that he had made and just some other ideas for how this could come to life. And I suggested the ancient Egyptian story that we ended up using really as the inspiration for the individual scenes Fan later created.
Yeah, we both really like small things. So I used to work with the miniature area. So I also did projects for field museums working with a diorama scene.
There's definitely an evolution if you look back from our beginning stages where we were very optimistic in the amount of stuff that we might be able to include in the project. We went from having 2 stories as our inspiration to 1 story to then 4 very short specific scenes. At the core of our collaboration was using art, and in this particular case, the kind of miniature clay figures, to kind of give a glimpse into how this particular story, what kind of facets of Egyptian culture this particular story reveals.
The box we built, we call them stages. Even those mummy on the stages, they're alive. Those stages are portals. They allow us to teleport our thought to the ancient past, and to along with this something that it won't be able to reach in the reality. And that leads to another layers, which is booklets, the smells, just layering all the things. The story is complicated. We want these projects also showing the complex of the story.
If you're the person in the project who's not the artist, really don't underestimate how enlightening this process can be for your own research. I look at objects in a completely different way now, having that kind of input from the practitioner side of how much work goes into the creation, especially for things like miniatures. And it really just gave me a completely new perspective on research because I'm usually just in books and reading all day. So actually getting to interact with objects and then assist in the creation of some, and hopefully maybe one day make my own. Really just don't underestimate what this can do for your own research.
I think we learn from each other a lot. I got inspirations from the text that Theresa shared to me, and how the scenes could be managed or used to see the real historical background and use it as a part of my performance references.
We really would like to see this exhibited somewhere so that people can really appreciate the layered senses, which was a lot of the research and a lot of the time went into making it an experience. There's really no limit on what this art form can do to bring stories to life.